Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Brooke.
I'm Diana.
And this is episode 88. Today we are going to be talking about comedies. Ha ha ha. Ho, ho, ho. Our favorite movies, shows, and actors. We love comedies. But before we dive in, Diana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Brooke. I'm doing awesome. Yes, we're doing this on a Saturday. We're still doing remote. But comedies, there's just so much fun. So I'm really excited about it. And here we are. Hey, it's the 4th of July. We're recording on the 4th of July.
Yes, I am very excited to be on holiday with the family. And I just love 4th of July. We get to, think about our history in this country and eat lots of good barbecue, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, do you have plans to barbecue today?
Yes. I bought some steaks and
yum.
And that's all I needed, right? I'm like, okay, we're going to do something with steaks today. So I'm just excited. Yeah. We'll celebrate with the family and it'll be fun.
Awesome.
We don't need much to create a fun meal. Like anytime there's anything, it's like, let's have a great meal and drink some wine or make some margaritas. And so we just find a reason to celebrate, on the weekends.
Exactly. Exactly. It's nice that this holiday landed on a weekend this year, even though it's COVID year, but that's okay. Every day's a weekend for me.
Hopefully not for too much longer for you.
But we had a birthday party for the kids yesterday. So they were born on July 3rd. My last two kids, they turned 6 and 2. And each time I've had the babies, there's always a Walking Dead marathon.
What? Is there a Walking Dead marathon right now?
Well, there was when I had the babies.
Previously.
Yeah.
Yes. That makes sense.
I'm not sure if they're doing it this year, but each year in the hospital, I binge watched Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And my nurses were like very interested on that, but yeah, typically. So anyway, I love this time of year, my kids' birthdays, and it's just a great celebration. So I'm very happy with today. But being that we're talking about comedies today, I wanted to ask our question and how comedies have possibly affected our lives. So I'm curious, Diana, if you have ever imagined life to be without comedy. I mean, imagine not having the shows, the movies, the stand-up comedians. What if that was like prohibition? You weren't allowed to laugh or something, I can't imagine life.
Yeah, I'd be an outlaw.
Yeah, we'd have the underground speakeasy comedy, the bootleg movies.
Yeah. Hey, we should write a movie about that, right?
Yeah.
In Footloose, they banned dancing and music, so we could write a movie about how they banned comedy. Yeah. I could not imagine life without comedy, and I honestly really could not imagine it. I feel like it is the foundation of so much, the foundation of, like you said, on television, on movies, on stand-up comedians, in your life. I live to laugh. My husband, when I met him, he was so funny. I mean, he still is very funny, but it's grown on me. So, but other people think he's funny. Like they'll meet and just things he says to him are so funny. Well, they're normal to me. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's funny, or I don't even think about it. But other people will be like, laugh at things he says, and people just think he's so funny. And it's like, really, that was like one of the draws of, because we were friends first, and but he would always make me laugh. And I remember a girl, it was in high school, because we met in high school, and a girl told me, she's all, because I'm like, oh my God, he's so funny, and this and that. And they're like, you know, you say that all the time about him. Do you like him? And I'm like, a light bulb went on off in my head, right? I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe I do. Because he cracks me up. And then I think about my dad and my brothers. They were always cracking jokes all the time growing up. And then my household, you know, I have a house full of boys. Everything is funny. I don't care what it is. I could bring up something serious at the table and they turn it into a funny conversation no matter what. And my boys can be really funny.
That's so cute.
Yeah,
I love it.
Just stories and imitations and all kinds of things. So I can't even imagine, you know, life without comedy.
Oh, that's such a good story, Diana. How cute.
Yeah, thank you. What about you?
That's so sweet. Oh, I can't imagine life without comedy at all. I mean, like, yeah, comedy is part of, like, the part of your soul that is required. You need to have. It's like love.
Yes, I
think
agree.
you also need to have humor.
Yes.
You know, and to enjoy life, I think it definitely goes in tandem. You just have to have that. And so I could never imagine comedy being banned. I don't know. Like I said, I'd be, or, you know, I'm like you. I would also have to be an outlaw. And, you know, I would be finding the nearest underground comedy club to access it. Yeah, it's definitely mandatory. And I just remember growing up, always trying to find something to laugh about. I loved to laugh at shows, movies, just social circle, my job. I mean, I've been told by the people in my building that they want to work in here because they need that amount of laughter in their environment. I mean, sometimes it gets really loud and we're just cracking up so loud in here at work. My home is like yours, where we're just always trying to find something funny. There's always a kid making a joke about something. So absolutely, we need to have that comedy in our life. I actually, at one point, thought that I was funny enough to be a stand-up comedian.
You probably are. Go right now. No.
You know, like, and my sister-in-law, she stopped by yesterday, gave the kids a present for their birthday, and we were outside the house. She couldn't even breathe. She was laughing so hard at whatever we were talking about. Yeah. And I was just laughing at her because she's laughing like to where she can't breathe. And it was something so mild, right? But it was just so, it's contagious.
Yes, it is. It is. I love it. Laughter's so awesome. I love it when people have great laughs too.
Yeah. So I love going to the comedy club. I've seen George Lopez.
Oh,
he
that
was
would
really
be so
good.
Awesome.
Yeah. I know eventually Dominic would love to go see Kevin Hart. That's his favorite comedian.
Yes, that would be, oh gosh, so good.
Yeah. One of my friends, she went and saw Seinfeld. She thought he was just so creative.
Yeah, any of those. I want to see all of them. That would be so much fun. So listeners, what do you think? Have you ever imagined life without comedy? You can leave us a comment on Twitter at @in_screens or on our Screens in Focus Facebook page. You can follow us on our Instagram, subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. That would be great to get a joke. We should do a joke. Maybe we need a joke of the day.
Knock, knock. I'm just kidding.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
I don't even remember the ending.
Orange you glad.
Do you remember saying
Orange you glad I didn't say knock knock, or I don't know.
That's like probably the one knock knock joke that we used to say growing up, but I can't remember how it ends.
Yeah.
I love that knock knock jokes.
I know.
Pretty cute.
Yeah, so we had so we did a poll, and we asked our listeners and our family and friends about what was their favorite comedy, or what or what made them laugh, or what what gave them a belly laugh. Or I love it how you said your was it your cousin you said that couldn't breathe?
Oh, my sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law. I love it when things make you laugh so hard that you can't breathe.
I know.
And so we asked them, and we got the results. And can you guess what the top vote getter was?
What was it?
It was Elf.
Wow.
Elf with Will Ferrell. That is pretty funny.
He's a funny character. He's played so many different characters.
Yeah, he's hysterical. I mean, they're, Anchorman.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's just so many. What's that? Old School.
Yes.
Even when he was on SNL. Oh my gosh, one of the funniest comedy bits on SNL was the cowbell.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Oh my gosh.
We need more cowbell.
That is hysterical. Oh my God, he is so funny. Step Brothers.
Oh, I love Step Brothers.
There's so many that he does that are crack-ups.
He's good. He is so good.
So it was followed by a three-way tie. And three-way tie was Mrs. Doubtfire, which I believe, Brooke, is one of your favorites, right?
Yes.
I remember you talking about that.
I love Mrs. Doubtfire.
The second one was Bridesmaids, which is so funny.
Love Bridesmaids.
Yeah. And then the third was Step Brothers. So another Will Ferrell movie.
I'm pretty sure I voted for Mrs. Doubtfire and Bridesmaids. I can't remember if I voted for Step Brothers or not, but it's so hard.
I know there's so many.
Oh.
There's so many. So our poll couldn't even cover that many. I just had to throw out what I could find on a lot of most popular lists, because I didn't want to just go with what I thought was the funniest, but I wanted to encompass a lot of other avenues of finding the funniest movies and put them on there. So, plus there was an other box that people could have chosen too.
Okay.
But so that's what we got. So we thank our listeners and our family and friends for responding to our poll. Because those are always fun to do. Yeah.
And you know what? In relation to the movie Step Brothers, that movie has made me change the way that I hear Sweet Child of Mine.
Okay, I'm going to have to watch that movie again. It's been a while since I've watched it.
Oh, it's so funny. We joke about that all the time. Sweet Child of Mine. And if we ever hear it,
That's
or even if we're just...
I love that song, too.
If we're in the car, it's just what comedy has done for me and my husband. It's like you and your husband. But I was telling you earlier that Gabe and I, we are walking scripts. Like, we have all these comedy verses in our heads from our favorite comedy movies, and we challenge ourselves trivia all the time. All the time. So we'll say a line, and then if you don't call it out right away, I'll ask you, what's that from? And then most of the time we get it right. We're pretty good. But then there's some movies that I haven't seen that he's seen, but it's done so much for us.
Yeah.
These funny people just sharing their humor with us.
I know. It's such a talent. It really a talent.
Is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, really is. I love that show where they find the comedians. Amy Schumer was found, I think.
Really? Was she? It was.
I thought.
I know which one you're talking about, though, right? I can't even think of what it was called, but yeah.
The Last Man Standing? No,
yes.
That's not it. Is that it?
Or something close to that. Huh. No, that might be a TV show. I don't know.
Last stand-up comedian, or I don't know, something, a comedy challenge. It's good.
Last Comic Standing?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Look at that. Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, she's really a walking script, isn't she? She can remember everything.
Oh my gosh. That's not a script, that's the title. That's why you can't recall it. Anyways, Brooke, tell me, what are your favorite comedy movies?
Well, some of my favorite comedy movies, and I have to tell you, majority of my favorite movies and comedies as well is from the 90s.
Yeah.
So I just find that there's a lot of throwbacks that I can rewatch and still laugh and maybe even just with the evolution and adaptation of, where I was then and where I am now.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And so I just laugh out loud even more now when I understand the jokes and the humor even more now. So on a really, really short list, and this is short because there's just so many out there, and we need to hear more of what our fans and our friends and families' favorites are, because that might even just enlighten our community. But for now, my favorites consist of Friday, the movie with Ice Cube, and I believe he wrote that script for the movie. I think that's his writing. So that movie is just in my book of favorites, and there's many lines from that movie and scenes from that movie that I just think of often and we say out loud often.
Okay, do you know, I don't know that I've seen that movie.
Oh, it's fun. It's yeah, he ends up getting laid off. And his friend comes over, Smokey, and that's Chris Tucker. And they just decide, like, well, hey, man, you have no job. You have nothing else to do. So what do? They just, and I don't think Craig, who's Ice Cube, I haven't watched it in a while, but I don't think he's ever really smoked weed before. But in that movie, because he just got laid off, he decides that he and Smokey are going to smoke weed, and they do. And then a series of events happen during that Friday. And so just all these different funny events happening in the hood where they live, and it's funny. And there's a character, his name is... I think it's T-Bone or Debo. And he is like the neighborhood bully, a grown man. And you will recognize him maybe from, I would say, the 80s, maybe 90s. He was a professional wrestler, and his name was Zeus.
Okay.
So anyway, he's in that movie, and he's like bullying everybody around. Everybody's afraid of him. And then... there's like an encore moment at the end with Craig and Debo. And so I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, you've got to watch it. Your sons may have already seen it. I'm not sure. I may have watched it with my oldest son at some point in his life. But yeah, it's funny. And definitely creative. And coming from Ice Cube, who, was formerly known as an NWA rapper, like, I think that's really amazing that he actually wrote the story himself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then another, at this point, I would say, writer, director of favorite movies would be Quentin Tarantino. I just think he's so creative. Pulp Fiction, 4 Rooms, Django. I mean, there's just so many parts of his dark humor, and I love dark humor.
Yeah,
that's another favorite of mine. I mean, like, I like the innocent laughter, but I also like the dark humor. Walking Dead, we like the dark stuff
I know
too. But
we do. Yeah.
I like when the dark stuff can be funny as well. And Pulp Fiction, Django, 4 Rooms, those are my favorite Tarantino movies. Love them. Another favorite that we like in our household, and we'll watch it here and there, it's called White Chicks.
Yeah.
And those are the Wayans brothers, the younger two. That movie is really funny. Terry Crews, he's in that as well. He has a a funny moment where he drank a drink that was spiked with some kind of like maybe ecstasy or something.
Yeah.
And then he's like on the dance floor. So there's just so many funny moments of that movie that we just love. I grew up watching A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh my gosh.
With,
yeah. It's been so long since I've seen that movie, but I do remember it being so funny. Kevin Kline is funny.
Yes, Kevin Kline. I forgot his last name, but Kevin Kline, John Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis. I think those were the main three characters.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorites. Tom Hanks movies, he did such a good job in the early 80s and 90s as far as the comedy. And then he ended up getting like more serious roles later on. But one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies is The Burbs. I love The Burbs, like where he's, he's paranoid about his new neighbors and they start spying on the neighbors to the point where there's just total destruction. But they were able to uncover the truth about those neighbors at the end of the movie. Love that movie. The Naked Gun movies with
so funny. Leslie Nielsen.
Thank you. Leslie Nielsen. Those are hysterical. Those are like parody movies.
Oh my gosh,
They can be really funny, like Scary Movie. Some other parodies. Parodies got really popular in the 90s, I think.
Probably.
Where they would like Hot Shots with Charlie Sheen, like those type of movies. They were so silly. I love the Michael Douglas movie War of the Roses. Mm-hmm. And that one's one of my favorite movies. Austin Powers movies were really good.
Yes, those are so
baby.
funny. Mike Myers.
Was great. Yeah. Yes. And I love James Franco, Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill in those movies like This Is the End. Yes. And also Pineapple Express. Love those movies. So funny. Seth Rogen he has a place in my heart. I just love him. He's hysterical. He's such a cool guy. I love Bill Murray movies. What About Bob is one of my favorites where I just laugh out loud. Richard Dreyfuss is just going crazy because his patient, Bob, follows him on a 4th of July weekend or something like that.
Yes, he does.
So cute. And his family totally takes him in under their wing.
Yeah.
But then Richard Dreyfuss is like going stir crazy. And then he ends up being the loony. And Bob looks normal. Like he's not.
Right. You're right.
That was a cute movie. Chevy Chase in National Lampoon's European Vacation, which I just love European Vacation. It is funny. And I'm wondering why that one's my favorite. I think it's because we owned it and I just watched it repeatedly. Because I like the first one too. Yes. But this one is just something about it. It's so funny. Maybe because it's in another country. I'm not sure. It's just so funny to me. And then Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with, oh my gosh, I'm drawing blanks on everybody's names today.
Is it Gene Wilder or
Gene Wilder?
Okay,
thank you.
Because I was going to say I love that one too. That's funny.
Yeah. We watched that one recently, and I was just cracking up at things that I never saw or never noticed before. Yeah. Or at least I didn't think I noticed it until then. So those are just some of my favorite movies.
Those are great ones. You make me, I want to go watch some of those. It'd be so nice to just sit back and put the TV on and just watch all of these,
I know.
It's just so much fun.
Well, a lot of these platforms make it so easy for us to watch movies. I mean, I've discovered a lot of things on all these different streaming services, and it's just crazy. But you just have to have the ability to stream all these services to access them because they're out there. It's just however many streaming services you want to have.
Right. I know.
So what are some of your favorite movies?
Okay. Of course I have a lot just like you, and I can't name everything, but really, really, really at the top of my list is any Jim Carrey movie. He is my favorite, and he just makes me laugh so much. So Fun with Dick and Jane. And I actually just watched it last night and I put the rest on this morning because it's so damn funny. That's with Téa Leoni and Alec Baldwin. And I didn't realize, but it was co-written by Judd Apatow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought that was so interesting. But if for anybody who hasn't watched this, it's about a middle-class couple who resort to robbery when his employer goes bankrupt. And oh my gosh, they're so funny. So funny. I just love it. From the get-go, it's hysterical. Every single scene is so damn funny.
It's just like a series of events throughout the whole movie.
Yes, and it's just everything they try, and they're just desperate to make money, so they resort to all sorts of things before they resort to robbery. And even when they're robbing, it's so damn funny. And oh my gosh, my whole family loves this movie. We could just all just sit there and watch it. In fact, we did go watch this at the theaters, and I remember my kids were young at the time. I think I've mentioned this before, but there's a part where Jim Carrey's character, Dick, finds out that he's being indicted because it comes out on the news. And he's sitting there in bed, and it says, "Oh, Dick Harper will be indicted." And he's all, "Indicted? Indicted?" And he's all, "I'm going to be indicted." And he starts running, and he runs down the stairs, and they're just showing Jane, who played by Téa Leoni, sitting there like listening to her husband, and you hear him running down the stairs, and you keep hearing him saying, "Indicted, indicted," and he's slamming things, and he's running out the door. And I remember my kids turning around and looking at me going, "Mom, what's indicted?" It was so funny because they had no idea, of course, what that word meant at the time. But oh my gosh, that movie it has a warm place in my heart. I think a lot of movies that really bring me joy and laughter are movies that I've seen with my family. We can share that time together, or where we were, what we did. And so I think that's one of the reasons why this movie is so funny, or, has a warm place in my heart. I also love Me, Myself, and Irene, and I don't know if as many people have seen this, but it's with Renee Zellweger, and it's directed by the Farrelly brothers. Anyways, it's about a state trooper who suppresses his anger and feelings and suffers a psychotic break, and it releases another personality, which is called Hank, who's rude and outrageous, and he has this like Clint Eastwood persona. Oh my gosh. Me and my husband can watch this, and we are out of breath, dying laughter so hard because
so funny. It's
so funny when somebody's playing dual roles, in their, in a comedy. So it's just so funny. We love just watching, putting it in at any time of the, when any part of the movie that is on, and we could just sit and watch it and just find it so funny. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, another one. I just love him out, trying to find the, I can't even remember. It's a bird. Is it an owl?
A bat.
A bat. That's what it is. Oh my God. The whole thing is so funny. He has to fight with people, and he thinks he's going to fight this big old guy, and the big old guy's carrying this little guy on the back of his back. And oh my God, it's just so damn funny.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think it's Jim Carrey himself, what he brings to all of these roles, and how funny he is, because there's The Mask, Liar, Liar, God Almighty, Dumb and Dumber. All of them are so good, and I just love him in all of those.
Oh, so funny.
Another comedy that he did, but it's also a little bit of dramatization, is The Truman Show, and I really, really like this movie. I just think that it also shows his dramatic ability in it. Even though it is funny, it's, his life without him knowing it, being filmed. And finally, when he realizes it, he's trying to get out of it. And it's heartbreaking, right? You feel for him. You're like, oh my God, he has no idea that these people are following him around, and that his life is planned, and it's just a TV show. And oh my gosh, that's such a good movie. So any Jim Carrey movie for me is just gold. I just love it.
Yeah, he's got funny facial expressions.
Yes. He just makes me laugh so much.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up Bye Bye Birdie. It's one of my favorite movies ever, but it's also a musical. And so I think we'll be talking about this on a later podcast, but I did want to bring it up because it is a comedy also. And it just, oh my gosh, fills my heart. I just love it. It's just, I saw it as a kid and I've never, it's just been my favorite movie forever. And it's with Anne Margaret and she is phenomenal in it. That was like her first starring vehicle. And I think it catapulted her into another, realm of acting. And I think from then on, she started acting with Elvis Presley in movies like Viva Las Vegas and everything else. But
cool.
It's a great movie, but we'll talk further about that one. And of course, I've already talked a lot about my favorite comedies in our 80s podcast, because all John Hughes movies, they're a crack up. I mean, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of my favorite all-time movies, with Steve Martin and John Candy.
Yes.
16 Candles with Molly Ringwald and Michael Anthony Hall. That is so funny. And then all the Back to the Future and like Vacation, like you mentioned, those are so good and so funny. Now, I really like Little Miss Sunshine. Have you seen that, Brooke?
Yes, it's been a while. It's really cute. I love it.
This one is really funny, but it's more cute funny, and I just love the dynamics of the family. They're very dysfunctional, but I love it because they're a family, and Steve Carell is in this, and he cracks me up, and then the grandpa is in it. It's a really cute movie, and I really, really like it. So I'd recommend that movie to anybody. It's just a great movie. And again, it was one of those movies where me and my family were vacationing, and we came back to the room and it came on, and we watched it from the beginning to end with all of us, and they just all loved it too. So
awesome.
It's one of those movies that has a warm place in my heart because of that. Okay, so one of the movies that came out on our list is Bridesmaids, and that is so damn funny with Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph and Melissa McCarthy and just so many people. I love that film. That's another one that I could just put on and watch and just die laughing. So
I love that movie.
Yeah. I love Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder and Peter Boyle and Madeline Kahn. If anyone has never seen it, it is in black and white. Not because it was filmed at that point, but that they made it like that on purpose because it's a take on actually Frankenstein. But it is so funny. And it's a great movie. So please look for that one. It's so
a lot of Mel Brooks movies are just so creative and well done. I mean, Spaceballs.
Yes.
Blazing Saddles.
Yes.
Those movies are just hilarious. If you were to ever just get we have a box set of Mel Brooks movies.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, just ahead of the time. I think he was just so good.
Yeah.
Very funny.
They're written really well. And
really well.
I would, say, please watch Young Frankenstein. It's just so good.
I have to watch it again. I haven't seen it in a while.
And then School of Rock with Jack Black.
Oh, I love Jack Black.
I love Jack Black too. I like we were talking about the Jumanji movies earlier, but School of Rock, it is. I love that movie. It's a great movie. I wish I had written it because it's just something that I don't know. I just really I think because it has to do with music and kids and playing rock and roll and, the soundtrack in this. It's just so good. I love any movies about music.
He's just kind of like a band guy.
Yes.
And then
he gets booted out because doesn't he keep throwing himself into the crowd?
Yeah.
And they're like sick of him because they want to be like legit rock stars, and he does too, but he just kind of wants to be that one that is kind of crazy, and so it's
such a cute movie.
Yeah, they boot him out, and then he needs to make money, so he takes his roommate's
he uses his identity and gets a job, a teaching job at a private school.
So funny. I love it. And so instead of teaching these kids, he forms a band because he wants to play in like Battle of the Bands. And it's so good. It's so
Sarah
good.
Silverman was in it. She's pretty funny. Yeah, that's a cute movie.
And then
Joan Cusack was in it too.
Yes, she's good in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a crack up. I love it. I'm so glad you brought her up because I was going to mention her. It's great.
Yeah.
And I Love You, Man. I just actually thought about that this morning. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a funny movie.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch it. So I haven't seen it in a while, but Wait,
is it Paul Rudd?
Yes, Paul Rudd.
Okay, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yes. Where I think he doesn't have any friends. I think he wants to have a best man.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any friends. And so.
There you go. He's so cute. I love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, I do too, actually. He's so funny. He's great
funny in
actor.
Ant-Man.
Yes.
I liked him in Ant-Man. Ant-Man is funny. Though some of the Marvel movies are really funny too. They are
really funny. Okay, Brooke, so what are your favorite comedy shows?
Oh, okay. So some of my favorite comedy shows, and majority of them are from the 90s, and I just really enjoyed watching sitcoms growing up. And, it's like also the time where I remember my mom, she would be in her room, and then out of nowhere, she would just like be laughing so hard and so loud. And my brother and I, we would just run in there like, what is so funny? And it would just be, we wouldn't get it, She'd be laughing at whatever she's watching. And I'm just like, I don't get it. But I just feel like that's another, I guess it just goes to show how much we could really use that humor in our lives.
Right.
Look at that memory of my childhood, just hearing my mom laughing in her room on a weekend watching a TV show. I don't know if I could ever get her to laugh that hard unless I'm like telling a funny story about something,
Yeah.
So I think it's so important. But, I watched a lot of sitcoms from the 90s, and without naming them all, if you have Hulu, you could go to, I think it says like 90s throwbacks or something like that. And there's so many sitcoms like Family Matters, Saved by the Bell, Step by Step, all these sitcoms, Roseanne, stuff like that. You can see so many from that time period. And I feel like, Full House, with the Olsen twins, and now they have Fuller House on Netflix. So like all these older shows, I'm watching the Golden Girls religiously.
Right.
And I've gotten my kids on board with that. So seriously, funny. Like Hulu, I couldn't believe how many shows they have on there that I used to watch. And actually The Simpsons, I grew up loving and watching, and I would say that it was actually quite controversial at the time because it was on at a later time of the evening. And I remember it being controversial, like, it's inappropriate. And that's why they aired it at 8 p.m. on Sundays, because it was not for everybody. But I watched it regularly for probably 10 years of my life. And it's still going, right?
I know, it is.
It's crazy. But I love The Simpsons. The artwork. Just the family dynamic, Bart Simpson always getting choked out by his dad. It was just their dog, Maggie, little Lisa, like just everything. Marge with her crazy hair. And I just loved The Simpsons. Love The Simpsons. Beavis and Butthead was also an animated show on MTV that my brother and we watched regularly when we had cable. We didn't have cable all the time because it's on MTV, so you had to pay extra to have that. So any chance we got to watch Beavis and Butthead, we would. And so, that's another show that Gabe and I will reference to this day. And I love that show. I still love it. I'll watch it. Robot Chicken is also an animated show that was produced by Seth Green. He's actually the bastard son of Dr. Evil on Austin Powers.
Yes.
So, Robot Chicken. I don't know. Have you ever seen Robot Chicken?
I don't think so. I know I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it before.
Okay, so that would be on Comedy Central, like when it was aired, late night, because it's little claymation animated characters, and they had skits, like it was, let's just say, Saturday Night Live, right? It was just skit by skit. So it wasn't like a consistent story. It was just random skits that were funny. They pushed the envelope with society and just the dark humor or any kind of humor involved. It was just so funny, so inappropriate. It's like South Park, but South Park was a little bit not as explicit, I would say. So South Park is also another show that I would love to watch and just crack up watching, where they would kill Kenny every single episode. So I always looked forward to how Kenny was going to die. And South Park is just a group of little animated children in elementary school. And they would say things like, "Holy shit, you killed Kenny." Like, cause Kenny would always die and you never saw Kenny's face. Cause it was like, their setting was like, I would say, like in the like high range of like where it was like always cold.
Yeah.
South Park, like always like the South Pole or something. Like they were always in a cold setting. So I loved South Park. And so back to Robot Chicken, the creators of Robot Chicken have a new show on Hulu, and it's called Crossing Swords. And it's also, I don't think they're clay. I think it's more like felt, like the movie Trolls. I think they're felt characters. So I still think that they're handmade, but that show is hilarious. It is so funny. So it takes place in like the medieval time, and they just like, there's this character who wanted to become a knight, and so it goes through like all these different process of competition so that he could be picked to be suitable as the next knight for the king. And it's so funny. Like the queen ends up taking a group of the prospects, and she's like in this tent basically like cheating on her king with these knight prospects. So it's, if you can tolerate Robot Chicken's humor, you can tolerate Crossing Swords, and it's just inappropriate, it's raw, it's funny. I don't watch it with my kids because there's like these, they're doing lewd acts in this show. It's so hilarious. And then of course Saturday Night Live. That's been going on for, gosh, how many years? Like, it's got to be 30 years or something. Or maybe
probably
longer. Love Saturday Night Live. I watched an episode this weekend. Who's the girl from the Twilight series?
Kristen Stewart?
Thank you. Kristen Stewart. Diana is my name.
The actor name? At least I know that part.
She's my name brain today. Yeah, so she was the host on this episode that I watched of Saturday Night Live. It was pretty cute. They are so creative. They are very political, so I could understand some people not wanting to watch the show based on politics, but I think it's really funny, and I just think some things you just have to laugh at. And so another series that my kids and I watched every episode of is The Office with Steve Carell. Oh my gosh, so funny. So yeah, I definitely recommend. That humor is a little bit different and awkward. So some people love it and some people hate it. But we were fortunate to be those people that love The Office.
Yeah. Those are good ones.
Yeah, thank you. So what shows What comedy shows do you love?
I noticed that a lot of my show, I don't watch as many comedy shows recently. I have a love more for the older ones, but there are a few that I watch recently. So I loved Roseanne back in the day. I just thought it was the best show ever. And when they relaunched it, I just was so excited about it. And, you know, then when Roseanne got booted and they continued with the Connors, I wasn't sure how that was going to happen, you know, how, if it was still going to be the same or not. And I love the Connors. I love it. So I would say at this point in time, it is one of the shows that I still watch and love and find hysterically funny.
I love Roseanne.
So I just think that the old ones are so funny, but I'm telling and nobody, you know, wants to watch it for any reason. The Connors are really good. They're funny. I mean, it has all the same actors. The only one missing is Roseanne. But everybody is such a good actor in the show that it really does carry it. So it's in the writing. How
did they write her off?
She died.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's... Yeah, I understand. Wow. That's actually really heartbreaking because I grew up loving Roseanne.
Me too.
And Jackie, her sister, I should have mentioned this in my favorite movies, but she was the mom in Lady Bird.
Lady Bird, yeah.
So
good.
That's a really good movie. I absolutely love Lady Bird. But I'm sad to hear about Roseanne as far as having. Even though it's still good, but
it's still good because I was worried, and I'm like, no, Laurie Metcalf and John Goodman and Sarah Gilbert and. I'm sorry that I can't remember the actress's name. She's good too. They're all so good, and they have new, kids, and they're in there, and the mom still comes into the picture. So it's really good show. So I still really watch that and find it so funny. Another revival was Will and Grace. And I actually didn't watch this back in the day too much, but I watched the current ones, and I think it just ended. Finally, had another season finale. But Will and Grace, that ensemble there, those 4 people, they are brilliant, and they would have me laughing all the time. So I really enjoyed watching those shows on network TV. But as far as streaming goes, one of my favorite Netflix is Grace and Frankie with Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, and I love it. It is my favorite Netflix comedy show, and I think that was one of the first things I ever watched on Netflix. I love it. It's funny. The women are getting older, so I'm not sure how long they're going to keep doing it, but I think it's Netflix's longest series, which is saying a lot, right? But they are so funny. Please just tune into that show. It's so incredibly funny, well written, well acted. So they're great. I love The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That is so funny on Prime. We just did our podcast on Dead to Me. That is so funny. And so I love that. A lot of these other ones are older shows that I love. Like I love Seinfeld. I remember when Seinfeld was on and we were watching it. Of course, it was on every week. And that was one of those ones where we would gather at work the next morning and just talk about it and how funny it was and what made us laugh. And oh my gosh, that was on a roll for so long as being the funniest show ever.
Love it.
And I'm still watching Friends. Like right now, Friends was great back in the day. Well, last night going to bed, I put it on TV to fall asleep to, and that's always good too. It's just always fun. Great to watch that show. A lot of my old favorite sitcoms would be like Cheers. Love Cheers. I love Taxi. I love SNL still, but a lot of the old SNL was so funny when Steve Martin was on, Chevy Chase, Eddie Murphy, just all of them. Gilda Radner. Oh gosh, there's so many. I can't even name them all. Or John Belushi.
I forget the other name. The man who
Dan
passed
Aykroyd.
away.
Phil Hartman. I think that's
Phil
what you were going to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they were just incredible, and they would just make me laugh so much. And they were.
I love
just
it
great.
when they lose script and they laugh so hard in an episode, and they just that just gets me going. That's hilarious. I love watching.
That happens a lot on the Carol Burnett show.
Oh,
the Carol Burnett show was one of my favorites growing up. My parents would send me to bed. I would go to bed, but I wasn't tired, and I would listen to them watching it. It was like torture. They were torturing me.
Yeah.
My parents were torturing me.
They needed their alone time.
Yeah, they're like, go to bed. And so I'd go to bed and I'd have my ear listening to Carol Burnett. I thought that show was so damn funny. Tim Conway was hysterical on there. And yes, they would always go off script, and then they couldn't control themselves. And Carol Burnett played from Gone with the Wind, and she took the curtain off and still it still had the rod in it, and she had it over her shoulders. Oh my gosh. Then they used to do one, there used to be a soap opera called As the World Turns, but Carol Burnett did As the Stomach Turns, and it was so funny. Yeah, and then they would just do so many parodies of all kinds of stuff. So I love the Carol Burnett show. Which brings me to one of my all-time favorite shows is I Love Lucy, which I know, Brooke, you have maybe recently been watching it and you'll be talking about that. But I Love Lucy. I honestly do really love I Love Lucy. She, to me, is like the iconic, the funniest person ever. I don't know how she does it, but it just fills me with laughter, and I just love her. And Ricky, also her husband, and the Mertzes, they're all funny, and she's always getting them into some predicament because she always either wants to be a star or be on the show or meet a famous person. And I just think cute. Her striving for that all the time just makes me laugh, because she'll go to whatever extent it is to do it. I just love her. I love Lucy. And also growing up, I used to watch the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family and Dick Van Dyke, and they would all have me laughing so much.
Yes.
They're great shows and great comedians. So,
thank you for sharing those amazing shows.
Thank you.
Just brings me back. I love watching Taxi and Cheers, Brady Bunch, and you know what? A lot of those are on Hulu, so you've got to check them out just to get some of that old nostalgia back into your life.
I know. So, Brooke, tell me, after we've talked about all these films and all these shows, who's your favorite comedic actor and actress? Yeah,
these are just a few. Like, there are so many from the past, present, and but just a few that I could say that really I gravitate to is Kevin Hart, Robin Williams, Jonah Hill, I think he's so funny. Mm-hmm. Seth Rogen, also very funny. Chris Farley, I love Black Sheep and just Chris Farley movies like Beverly Hills Ninja. He was so funny. Living in a Van Down by the River character from...
I was going to say, I don't know. He does do a lot of funny movies, and he was always with David Spade, right, in his movies. Mm-hmm. But the one SNL skit that cracked me up so bad was when he was trying out for like Chippendales with Patrick Swayze.
Oh my goodness!
Oh God, that made me laugh so damn hard. I love that skit. It is so funny.
How funny! Yeah, he was really good. Adam Sandler, I think, was on SNL too.
Yes.
With like the Red Hooded Sweatshirt song. That was really cute. He was, Adam Sandler.
I love his Hanukkah song. Yes.
I think we had a vinyl album of his stand-up. And I know my dad had a lot of like Steve Martin, and he still makes the jokes off the vinyl albums. For some reason, we had comedy vinyl, so we would listen to them, over again. And Adam Sandler and the Steve Martin ones we had, I remember those, and they were very funny. Catherine O'Hara, she is so funny from Beetlejuice. She was the mom on Beetlejuice, and then I guess she's in this show called Schitt's Creek, which I hear a lot about. People seem to love that show. And I'm like you, I love Lily Tomlin, 9 to 5 with Dolly Parton, and then the Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
Hey, I remembered somebody's name. And then another female actress who I think is funny is Rebel Wilson. I think she's so awkward funny. I discovered her from Bridesmaids, and ever since then I just thought she was so cute and funny. And I think she's even done some voice acting as well as Tiffany Haddish. She's done some voice acting, and I know that people really gravitate to her. Jenny Slate, I discovered her about a good 10 years ago when she did the voice for Marcel the Shell with shoes on. So if you look up Marcel the Shell with shoes on, she does this little cute little itty bitty voice, and it's just a little shell that is like animated or like some kind of motion creation, and he gets into all these little things, and he's kind of a little bit, simple and innocent, and he just does it's just really, really cute, the skits that she was able to create with that little character and then evolve into a comedian in acting. I think she was in the movie, she was a scientist in Venom with that hot actor that everybody loves. What's his name?
It's not Tom Hardy, is it?
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
See?
It is.
Diana is my name brain today. Yeah, she was in that, and she's been in other shows and movies as well, but I just really like her, and that's how I discovered her, was Marcel the Shell with shoes on. Wanda Sykes she's been in the industry a good long while, and
she cracks me up.
Yeah, she's so funny. I just love her. Was she on Saturday Night Live, or is it in Living Color? Which one was she?
Might have been Living Color. Oh, it was? I don't remember. I don't know.
Huh. Now I'm confused. But Wanda Sykes is great. And I grew up watching Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
Loved her. And I told myself not to forget the name of the nun movie that she was in.
Sister Act, or your
Thank you. Sister Act.
Yeah. Both
I'm
Sister
so
Acts.
forgetful today. But yeah, I loved Whoopi Goldberg from that time period as well. So I want to know some of your favorite actors and actresses.
So, okay, I already mentioned Jim Carrey. I love him. Love him. But also Steve Martin. Eddie Murphy. Oh my gosh, Eddie Murphy's so good.
Yeah.
Will Smith. Now, those four people, I want to watch anything that they're in. They're just so, I just think that they're funny. I just love them. Also, Steve Carell, Will Ferrell, Billy Crystal. He is so funny to me. I just love his humor. And then Jerry Lewis. I used to watch Jerry Lewis a lot, and I just found him so funny. I mean, that was my first Nutty Professor that I saw, right, back in the day. And he used to always do comedies with Dean Martin. And I just used to love to watch him so much. And then Dick Van Dyke. So Dick Van Dyke is actually in Bye Bye Birdie also, and also the Dick Van Dyke Show. But I just found him so funny. I loved his humor. And for actresses, again, Lucille Ball and Carol Burnett, they're the highest up there, and they're my favorite. But also, I just realized that I love Christina Applegate. I just think she's so damn funny. And so I'm like just having this new revelation about her, I think, after watching Dead to Me. And so I just think she's great. I also will watch anything with Sandra Bullock in it. I love like The Heat with her and Melissa McCarthy. Jennifer Aniston, now, even though she's not usually the person delivering the jokes, she's funny. She's like in so many comedies. And, you know, you have to be a really good actor to play against so many people or with so many people or be in so many. And I just will watch anything that she's in, and I just think she's funny. So Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph, I love these two. They make me laugh. Every time they were on SNL, I wanted to watch whatever they were in. In Bridesmaids, they're funny. Different movies that they've each been in, they just shine. They just have this great comedic ability. And I just, and we had talked about, Brooke, about that Oscars moment that you had brought up about them being so damn funny, and they were so good. Wasn't it them too? Yeah. Yes.
So cute.
Yeah. So it was so good. Melissa McCarthy, she is such a phenomenal actress. She's so funny, and she's also very good at, dramatic acting. And I just think she's a really awesome actress. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I mean, she was on Seinfeld. Now, I haven't watched Veep, but I just hear so many great things about it, and I really want to put it, to watch in my queue because I just really love her, and I've loved all the movies that she has been in. So I had to take people off my list because I could keep going on, but I wanted to put the people that I will watch almost anything that they're in just because I just think that they're so funny. So
yeah. Well, those are great people.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching them too.
Yeah. So do you have any other thoughts? Did it spark any other thoughts about any movie, shows, or actors?
If you haven't seen The Big Lebowski by now, you have to see it. That movie is hilarious. I watched it last year with Gabriel for the first time, and I'm so glad that I did. Oh, you watched it
the first time?
I've never seen it before that. So that movie was so funny. It just had us laughing the whole time. And it's like, it's got that dark humor. It's got that, it's kind of stressful watching it too. Cause like the things that are happening, you're like, oh, come on already. And it's just, it has you on the edge of your seat and waiting to find out what's going to happen next. I love that movie, and I highly recommend it. The Graduate, I may have spoke about this movie to you before.
Love that movie.
It's so funny. I did not know that this movie was so incredible. It was so good. And I love the relationship and the confusion and the intensity. I found it really funny, and I found it really, really good. So I highly recommend that as well. It's an older film, I think. I don't know, maybe the 70s?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in so long, but it is something that I've been wanting to go back and watch because it is really good.
Yeah, and then at the end of the movie, they're just sitting there, and you're like, now what? On the bus as they're ending the movie. I'm just like, all of that for now, they just don't even know where to start their lives. But that was a really good movie. And then Three Amigos with Chevy Chase.
Love it.
Yeah. That movie is so funny. So we have lines from that movie that we often will say at home as well. So those are, the list is long. It just can go on forever, right?
Yes.
What about you? What else should we...
Well, I just wanted to bring up Toy Story because it is my favorite animated show. I think it's because of Tom Hanks and wait, now I'm drawing a blank. Tom Hanks and
Tim Allen.
Thank you.
Yay!
They're just, I don't know. I just see them as we see Woody and Buzz Lightyear. I just see them, and I just love that movie. And it just makes me laugh. It brings me joy, and it's just so good. And also growing up, the Flintstones. The Flintstones are so damn funny.
Yeah.
I love the Flintstones. And so it just warms my heart when I think about them. And Pink Panther, that was one of the first, and I'm talking about the actual Pink Panther cartoon.
Oh, yes.
All it was the music and this Pink Panther walking around doing things, but I just loved it as a kid so much, and I thought it was so funny. Also, I didn't bring up earlier, because we talked about how much Steve Martin, how much I like him, and I believe you do too, Brooke, but
yes.
All of Me, when I was talking about Jim Carrey playing dual roles, All of Me, Steve Martin plays dual roles. And All of Me is one of my favorite movies. I actually bought a DVD, and my youngest son, they wanted to watch a movie, and they put it on. And do you know that he loved that movie too? He's all, Mom, this movie is so funny. I'm like, yes, I'm so glad you liked it. So I would highly recommend All of Me. And Lily Tomlin is in that movie.
Yes.
Because Lily Tomlin plays a rich older woman who wants to stay alive, and she wants to put her soul into this young girl and give her all her money so that she can, live on. But of course, the other girl, the way by doing this is they hire some guy who's going to back and bowl. That's all I remember. We used to say that all the time, back and bowl, because what happened was Lily Tomlin's soul or being or whatever her entity would go into this bowl, and then they would transport what was in the bowl to this younger woman. Well, the younger woman was only in it for the money. So when it was time to do it, she skedaddled, and I think the bowl fell out the window. I can't remember now, but it falls on Steve Martin. And so Steve Martin becomes himself and half of Lily Tomlin.
Now
and it's
I remember.
Just
Now
so
I remember.
Funny.
Yes.
So
this movie is
funny.
good. I have to watch it again because I watched it as a child, and so I need to see this again.
Yeah, well, we have it on DVD if you need it. So
I'll borrow it from you for sure. Yeah,
it's so funny. And then, which makes me think of The Jerk with Steve Martin, and that was funny. That was so good.
I love The Jerk.
And when you brought up vinyls, comedy on vinyls, it reminded me of Cheech and Chong.
Oh, I love
when
Cheech
I
and
was
Chong.
young, I have older brothers and sisters growing up, and they would buy the Cheech and Chong comedy album and play it.
So funny.
And it's just so funny. It just brought back so many good memories.
It sure does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I bought my dad some Cheech and Chong dress socks for Christmas this past Christmas, because he introduced Cheech and Chong to us when we were preteens.
God, that's so funny.
So it's definitely
great.
Mm-hmm. See how these films and shows have such influence on our lives. I mean,
yes.
I can never think of Cheech and Chong without thinking about my dad.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And it makes me think about my brother, right? Because it was his album that would have on,
It's amazing. I think so.
He's all, it's me, Dave. And he's all, Dave who? Dave's not here. He's all, no man, I'm Dave. I got the stuff. So man, let me in. Who is it? Dave, man, it's Dave. Dave's not here. It just goes on and on.
That's cute.
It's so funny. Oh man, all these comedy movies and shows, and I hope some of you guys will go watch some of them because they're so great and so funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you for sharing, Diana. Thank you for your list of shows and movies and actors and actresses.
Thank you. I appreciate yours too, because ours are different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have different ones than you do, even though we've probably seen some of each other's, that we can go out and watch new ones. Like I've never seen Friday, so I'm going to have to look that up. And you mentioned some other things that I wasn't aware of. So thank you for sharing yours with me too, and our listeners. So
yeah, cool.
So besides all of this, what else are you currently watching?
Well, I am watching The Golden Girls, and so basically that is my morning program that I love to enjoy with a blanket and my coffee and my 3 little kids.
Yeah.
They are loving the Golden Girls, and they're like, oh, what's going to happen next? You know, they just want to find out more. And so it is so funny. I just laugh out loud the entire show. It just has me rolling on the floor, like the things that they say. And Blanche, how sexual she is and how much in denial she is of her age, and how Dorothy has no problem calling her out on her age, and how Dorothy has no problem calling out Rose on her I don't want to say stupidity, but she kind of she teases her a lot about some of the silly things that she says. Yeah. And it's almost like she's kind of an airhead, you know, which they're funny. The 3 of their relationship is so hysterical. And then to have Dorothy's mom a part of that as well, it's just so funny because she's just like this little itty bitty Sicilian firecracker in the background. And like, she may not even be a part of the conversation, but she will have no problem saying anything out loud about any of the women. It is so funny. I totally recommend the Golden Girls. It's just such an amazing chemistry that they all have, and creativity, and just the generational relationship that you see within these women and their kids and their grandkids and their community that they live. It's just so funny. It's very cute. I recommend it. Okay. And then the I Love Lucy episode that I watched, if you go on Hulu, the first episode won't be episode 1 for some reason. So the first episode that you'll see, it'll be like episode 4 or 2 or 4, something like that. It's definitely not the episode 1, but it starts out with Lucy really into this book, and it's supposed to be like To Kill the Mockingbird book. So it's like a murder mystery novel that she's reading, and she's so in depth with this book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And she's like eating cheese and crackers, dipping the crackers in the cheese, but then she ends up dipping the cracker in like a foot cream or like a face cream, and she still eats it, and she doesn't even know that she accidentally dipped it into the cream. And then her husband's home, and he's talking to her, Ricky, and she's reading the book. She's not responding to him at all because she didn't realize that he was home. So then when he goes and he taps her on her shoulder, she screams this rigid scream, like so alarming scream, and then her book flies out the window. So every time she tries to read this book, she has to retrieve it from being outside because she keeps getting scared. And then like throws the book out the window accidentally. Yeah. But then she thinks Ricky is conspiring to kill her.
That's so funny.
And and it's so cute because when they cut scenes, they always have her like this like dowdy, like this doe face, like just deer in the headlights. Like
yeah.
So I just think it is so funny. She was so pretty. Like I love her hair. She's like in a robe majority of this episode, reading this murder mystery. And like her friend, I forget her friend's name, but she tells her friend, oh my gosh, Ricky's gonna kill me. He's really trying to murder me. And then Ricky comes home.
Not Ethel? It's not Ethel?
Is it Ethel? I can't remember.
The Mertzes? Ethel is her neighbor.
Yeah, her neighbor.
Landlord neighbor.
Yeah. And then she's like, help me. And she's like, I don't know. She just ends up leaving. And I'm like, really? Would you leave your friend if you thought that they were actually going to be killed by their husband? It was just so wacky. It's so cute. I love watching this episode, and I used to watch it when I was a child, and I loved it then, and I'm sure I'm gonna keep watching it, and it's just so cute to see their relationships. And then the movies that I'm watching, I haven't watched I haven't watched all of them yet, just because I get sleepy. But The Birds, I'm watching.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
That one's it's creepy because like I finally got to the point where there was like a mass attack from the birds where they all flew into the chimney in the house. Gosh.
Yes.
And like all the chirping and screeching and them trying to get out of the house with the birds all flying around. And then they're in a school later, and then the crows are outside. Like first you see like 2 crows, and then they cut again, and then there's like 5 crows, and then they cut again, and there's like probably 50 or 100
it's scary,
crows.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so scary how it's filmed.
Yeah, and then they're like running away from the crows, and they're like pecking everybody's eyes out and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm at that point now with the crows. So it's good. And then the other movie that I'm still watching that I haven't finished, it's called Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
And that's Clint Eastwood. So I got to the point where he cut the grate out. So he snuck in to the plumbing of the jail.
Yes.
And he's like figuring out how to get out. And then he goes back to the other inmates at the mess hall, and they're like, he's telling them what he saw and how far he got. But then they had made a dummy head with like plaster of Paris or something, and
oh yes,
like
gosh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's good. It's creative. It's Clint Eastwood. Man, he was hot. He was looking good.
Yeah, it's an older movie. It's very good. I haven't seen it in ages, but I remember it being so good. It's regarded as a great movie, and I did like it when I did see it, but it's been a while.
Very good. So what else are you watching?
Well, I just finished Ozark.
Cool.
Just finished season 3, and now I'm so upset because I have to wait so long for season 4. I don't even know if they've even written it. They're going to film. I know they're going to film it, but I will tell people I watched the beginning, the first 4 or 5. I'm thinking, this is okay. But then as it got late, I kept forcing myself, and I'm like, oh my God. Then I was totally in, and season 2 was great. All of season 3 was great. Totally sucked in. I'm really loving it. I think it's really great, and I just can't wait for season 4, whenever that will be, comes out, because
that's awesome.
I can't wait.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to tell you. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay.
I should have put this on my list of shows that I'm also watching. It's Yellowstone. I don't know if you've heard of Yellowstone.
Yes, I have, and I've wanted to watch it, but I don't have the. I'm not able to connect. Like, I don't get that. I'd have to pay for it or something.
Do you have Xfinity?
I do.
It's free. It's on the app Peacock. So if you go to Yellowstone on an Xfinity, it'll tell you that you need to watch it on Peacock. And I believe Peacock is free to everyone who has Xfinity.
Oh, yes, I think it is. You're right. So I have to do it on Peacock then.
Yeah, just do it through your Xfinity though. So when you go to Yellowstone and then it'll ask you how do you want to watch it, just click it. However, it goes to Peacock through Xfinity.
Okay.
Then you can watch it. And that's really good. Kevin Costner, wow. I mean, gosh, he's so good because I loved him in Dances with Wolves and Waterworld. But in this show, it's really well written. It's really, the story is really well done. But it's like my mother from Twain Hart, she described it as very much like Sons of Anarchy, but in a different industry.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. I think you'll like it.
Okay.
I think you're going to like it. Yeah. Because it's like you get a little bit of Kevin Costner, Bad Boy, but also Dances with Wolves Kevin Costner, because they're like out in the flatlands of wherever.
I've been wanting to watch it. I just couldn't before. So now that you told me I can, I'm very excited, and I will. And I'm sure it's something the family will watch too. So thank you for telling me that.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I'm watching Home with the Morgans. Did I tell you about this before? It's with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, him and his wife. It's on AMC. It's just a half-hour show. I've been watching it every Friday. It's Friday night with the Morgans. That's and so he just has different people on his show. And last week oh my gosh, now his name has escaped me. He's the guy on Fear the Walking Dead that I love.
Dwight?
No, John Dory, who plays John Dory.
Oh, yeah.
Him and his wife. His wife is a, oh my gosh, this is so bad that I don't know their names. Anyways, Friday Night with the Morgans is really good. He just has different guest stars on him. A lot of them happen to be from The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead, but some are not. Some are just people they know, other
That's
actors
cool.
and actresses. And it's a half-hour show. They just talk, and it's great. And so I've been enjoying watching that. I also watch George Lopez stand-up on Netflix.
Cool.
Yeah, last night, or was it Thursday night, actually. So that was fun to watch George Lopez. And then as far as movies, I watched The Five Bloods.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was good. I really liked it. It's about 4 Vietnam vets returning to Vietnam to retrieve their friend and gold bars. And Delroy Lindo is... Everybody was talking about how great he was. He is really good in this. Really good. And so...
I love him.
Yeah, he's so good. And I'm like, oh my God. So it's a good movie. And, I was shocked. It's a Spike Lee movie. And it's interesting because when I was watching it, mind you, I didn't think it was low budget or anything like that. But I did notice certain things that... I wondered about because of the budget. I'm like, I wonder why this or that. And I can't even pinpoint what that is. But I later listened to another podcast and they were saying that, Spike Lee doesn't have the budget that other people have, that other famous people have. And that he calls in all his resources in order to make these movies, and how he uses that and his creativity to make these movies. So you don't really see that a lot of this is made on a lower budget. And when I heard that, I was so appalled that he doesn't have the budget that other people have, to make movies. And also that he's so creative. It just made me feel so much more about his filmmaking. I felt, oh my gosh, he really uses so much creativity to give us these films that we see. And I just think that that's, saying so much to his talent as a director to be able to do that, to pull from other areas because you don't have the budget, because other people may not be supporting you, that they may support other people. So it was good. I watched The Five Bloods. It's good. And I also watched Bombshell. But unfortunately, I was only half watching it for some reason. And it was good. But I feel like I didn't give it my whole attention. So I feel like I'll have to go back and rewatch that movie.
Is that with Charlize Theron?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And she did look like Megyn Kelly a lot. Yeah. And it had Nicole Kidman. It's a great cast. It's a great cast. They did well, but I feel like I need to rewatch the movie again. And then... I'm not going to say too much about this because we'll talk about it later, but I watched Hamilton last night and all I want to say is I was absolutely thrilled, amazed, and I can't wait to watch it again.
Cool. I can't wait to watch it.
Yes.
Well, thank you for your recommendations.
You're welcome. Thank you for yours.
Of course, anytime. And thank you all for listening. That's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful that you tuned in, and we hope something we said today resonated with you and gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or some inspiration. Please subscribe to our podcast and tell a friend. We would love more members of our TV club. Please rate and review the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. We could really, really use your feedback.
Yes, we'll be uploading a new episode in a few weeks. The next show will be discussing Hamilton.
Awesome.
Woo! You can find our website listed in our show notes. We'll see you next time.
Bye.